if you are a fan of Candace Owens, and we could have fans of Candace Owens here because part of our audience is conservative people, so this segment may not make you happy. I do believe in redemption for people, and a lot of this comes up a lot when we're talking about Peter Dow. I do believe in the redemption of people. For example, like if somebody, I don't even know what I could say. Let's say somebody stole something. Let's say this person was a armed robber. Let's say this person was a uh, a criminal of the sorts of stealing. I'm just trying to come up with a name, but stealing is their crime. It's okay to go, this person has changed their life and now you do not steal. Please do not judge me in that way. And that's fine. But what's not fine is to now give that person power, influence in said area that they were on the opposite side of. For example, Peter Dow was on the side of Hillary Clinton and the Democratic Shield and the Imperial. So it's fine that he's redeemed. Be part of the rank and file. What's not fine is putting him part of a campaign. That's the part that's not fine, not the redemption part. So Candace Owens could have been redeemed. The problem is she's not, but some people have reacted to my tweet, for example, like she's redeemed. And she hasn't, because some of these crazy shit that she's been saying is not in the past. But if you hadn't heard, Candace Owens and the Daily Wire, I'm referring it to it this way, part ways. It was first reported that she was fired, let go, that type of language. But now people are more talking about in the sense that it was like a mutual agreement, or at least if it wasn't mutual, it was accepted. It was some sort of agreement to get out of the contract, maybe, or something like that. We don't have the details yet. So she's parted ways, and this is the upward. Now, let me just say this part. I feel like Candace Owens is modeling herself after Tucker Carlson, and watching what Tucker Carlson, just like Tucker Carlson was able to whitewash himself from his anchorship on Fox News to where he is now. He's some sort of seen as some sort of like anti-establishment person. The fucking heir to the Swanson heir is a fucking the person who wanted to join the CIA is now some sort of non-establishment person because he has good takes on a couple of things. So she sees what he's doing, and she's built a following enough. She's like, what do I need the Daily Wire for? Why couldn't I just go to Twitter and get a deal with Twitter? I'm sorry, yeah, Twitter or X, what they call X now. Why couldn't I just go off on my own, like breaking points, and do my own shit and had the money come directly to me? So I see this as she's wanting, like this, she's wanting to leave. Like this is making her look like some sort of martyr, like some sort of hero. So transitioning, and the same thing happened to Tucker Carlson. Transitioning from where she was to a new place, she's using this as a like her hero transition into this new space. And we'll see her go on a tour, media tour, where she's telling people what her new platform and what she's going to be doing. I'm sure she'll be doing that. But let's get into some of the details. I'll just read. Breaking: Candace Owens and the Daily Wire part ways. It seems the Daily Wire only believes one type of speech, and it certainly isn't free speech. So the angle is that what's being said is that she has been advocating for Palestinian rights, or at least against spending money and doing all of this military endeavors with the Israel. She's against that. And you know this public spat she has with Ben Shapiro. We covered it here. It was a while ago, but we've covered it here. Now let's start with this. Let's go to this next part. This is Glenn Greenwald. Now, I was going to play part of Breaking Points also, but he clipped it out and gave it a great description, a better description than I would have. So let's read what he says here. Listen to Sagar's commentary today on the Daily Wire's separation from Candace Owens and what it says about free speech, cancel culture, and the institutional American right. Sagar, remember, is like part of the Tucker Carlson, the Candace Owens, the against the American institutional right, and Ben Shapiro is like still part of the institutional right. So and then he said Sagar got his start with that faction and understands how it works quite well. So let's listen to what Sagar says as an intro to this conversation.
So as you can see, I mean, this has been a major source of tension inside the Daily Wire now for months and months and months. And I think, look, what can we learn about this? I mean, first and foremost, it's a little bit hilarious, right? That this is what led to the departure over at the Daily Wire. Like Candace, look, whether you like her or not, she said a lot of things. She said a lot of controversial. She actually just did a whole segment about Brigitte Macron perhaps being a male. I haven't watched it. I haven't looked into it, just to be clear. So I don't know the merits or whatever that. But my point is that all of that.
Yeah. So this is what I mean. So this person who has a decent outlook or take or framing on the Palestinian genocide also, so she puts out that content based, right? Or some people might say based. I wouldn't, but some people might say based. Palestinian, she's good. And then immediately she pivots to culture war nonsense, where she actually puts out content. I was going to play it, but I'm trying to keep this concise. She actually puts out a video where she's talking about somebody who she believes, who we see as a female, and I don't mean transition to a female. Like, we think this person, this is a female. She's saying she believes this female has been living, is really a male, and is a male for 30 years that she's been pulling this off. That's her. And now he's going to say the name of the person. So I'm going to rewind it a little bit just so you can look it up for reference if you want to know. But listen to the name of the person that he mentions Candace Owens does another video on.
Macron perhaps being a male. I haven't watched it. I haven't looked into it.
Oh, sorry. I didn't go back far enough.
Just did a whole segment about Brigitte Macron perhaps being a
Brigitte Macron. That's the name of the person, is saying she has content out where she's saying this is probably a male. And it's serious content. She's not joking.
A male. I haven't watched it. I haven't looked into it, just to be clear. So I don't know the merits or whatever that. But my point is that all of that was fine. And that never kicked up a hornet's nest. It was only when she started critiquing Israeli war strategy in Gaza and talking about civilian casualties did all of this come to the surface. And frankly, saying what I think are principled and more, or at the very least, principled within her framework of looking at war at Ukraine and at Israel, adopting an America First strategy. It was only that, clinging to that, which led to basically the breakup between her and this major company. And I think that we can learn quite a bit from that. I mean, there's so much to say, right? First of all, the ADL. I mean, Ben Shapiro himself has gone after the ADL. I've seen innumerable Daily Wire segments about the ADL, Censorious, and all that. And yet they're, parting ways with her immediately after the ADL, incorrectly, by the way, guilt by association smear her. It says so-and-so is praising so-and-so. So you can't control that. If you want to attack somebody, then attack what they specifically said. They're using guilt by association. Now, we don't know, again, what the exact thing that led to the breakage between them. But prior to this, there had been not one single ounce of consternation from Daily Wire leadership, from Candace Owens. She previously talked about how she had a good relationship inside of the company. And look, we all know it's because of Israel. And that's crazy. It's crazy that Candace Owens, who is a conservative commentator, who is working for an organization which was supposedly founded on the bedrock of free speech, speaking your mind, saying facts aren't facts. What is it? The facts aren't your feelings, something like that. And by sticking to what she believes in, she is effectively out of a job. And this is an organization, the Daily Wire, which honestly, I don't think they can come back from this. I'm not saying that they won't be successful and all that. Listen, I don't doubt from a business perspective, can't help but respect it. But from a principle perspective, I think a lot of people are going to remember this. A lot of people are going to see kind of the double talk around cancel culture and free speech and what are real red lines and what aren't red lines. This has been a very, very revealing episode in the last 6-7 months or whatever, since October 7th. And this is just the latest casualty here in America. But I think the rift actually does tell you a lot about when you're in the institutional right, what you're allowed to talk about, what you're allowed not to. Never been happy.
When you're in the institutional right, what you are allowed to talk about. That's what Sagar was commenting on. So apparently, the same applies on the right as does the left. There's just certain topics you have to be in line with the establishment on, period. This is one of them, apparently. Now, let's go to my tweet. So, I quote tweeted the same thing. Where are we at? 300. So I quoted tweeted this. I said, I have zero pity and sympathy for this clown. No one should have pity for a person who got in bed with racist fascists like Ben Shapiro and the Daily Wire. And now those racist fascists have come for her. Her whole career was built on shucking and jiving to make white fragility feel, I should have said comfortable, but I said okay. And we all know what GTFOH stands for. If you don't, get the fuck out of here. So I don't have any sympathy for her. If this was a firing, I have zero sympathy for people. And this is also goes with Social Democrats and AOC. I have zero sympathy for Cori Bush. You chose to get in bed with imperialist goons, and now those imperialist goons are coming after you. Sorry. Same with the Reject Apex movement. Get the fuck out of here. Imagine this. And let me put this because this may clarify you for better. Let's put it out of the context. Let's put it in this context. If a black person, like on the Dave Chappelle comedy sketch, if you ever seen the Dave Chappelle comedy sketch where he's a blind black guy and he's blind and he's a white supremacist because he doesn't know he's black. So that black guy joins the KKK and he's saying all the right stuff and they're not going after him. But then he says something out of line of what they believe. They come after him, and I'm supposed to feel sorry for that guy? The black KKK member? Fuck out of here. I don't think so. Now let's go back to some other items. I got a lot to cover on here. Not a lot, but a decent amount. Let's see how we can get through here. So I'm going to get to some more reaction first. And here is Nick. And let's read Nick's tweet. Breaking, Candace Owens fired from the Daily Wire. MAGA and the right wing sold out free speech to Israel. This should serve as a wake-up call to people who don't understand the threat Zionism poses to the rights of Americans. And if you didn't remember, and here, actually, let me read his whole thread. Apparently, this was unexpected from Candace. After all the crazy shit Candace has said, this is what got her fired. Candace will be okay financially, but Zionism is a giant threat to the financial security of Americans because countless ordinary people been fired for saying, oops, let me get all of this. Has been fired for saying the same stuff Candace said. Let's see if there's more. Candace Owens spent years fear-mongering about cancel culture on the left, only to be canceled by her friends on the right. Isn't that irony there? That is some beautiful irony, I must say. Let's go to the next reaction here. there's the reactions are funny. That's why I want to kind of get through them. Here's another one from Nick here. And then I'll get to another one. It says, the funniest thing about Candace Owens getting fired is she was far from a radical on Palestine. This is what I was saying. She was decent. She didn't affirm Palestinian rights to self-defense. This is the point that I was making. She was more not pro-Palestinian. She was more against what Israel's doing, not necessarily pro-Palestinian, if you get what I'm saying. And Nick is saying it here. She didn't affirm Palestinian rights to self-defense. She didn't denounce Israel as terrorist state that doesn't deserve to exist. She simply says she weeps for Palestinian children dying, just like everyone else dying, and we shouldn't be funding such mass death. This is what got her canceled by Zionists. This is how far gone these Zionist traitors are. Another spot on analysis by Nick. Let's go to some other reaction. That's mine. We'll skip Nick's because he said something. Here is oops. Okay, now we go back. Here is JB's reaction to this. He says, I guess Candace Owens went a little too far. The call from Smully was answered. They care more about Zionist voices than Black voices. I hope Candace Owens sees this as a teachable moment. And let's get into that, because we can't talk about her firing without talking about the last sort of spat over Israel that she's been having. And that's with Rabbi Smully. So let's pivot to some of that. So let's pivot to some of the Rabbi Smully. Hang on one second here, and then I'm going to show you those. Okay, so let's listen to this one. Man, it's 3 of them. I don't want to listen to all of these. I think it's this one. So I'm gonna try to see if I can guess which one is the right one. So this is the one I think it is. Again, this is Smully.
Careful, Candace. A lot of this is real defamation and libel. You're treading in pretty forbidden grounds, but I think your only defense, if this ever becomes a major legal issue, is that you're really betraying yourself as emotionally and intellectually unbalanced. But why has it come out in the direction of a global Jewish conspiracy, that we Jews control Hollywood, that we Jews are trying to bring down Black people? Let me be clear. Candace Owens made her name because she was a conservative. Now she's engaging in pure identity politics. Why did I call her out over her love for Kanye West? Not because she was defending America's foremost anti-Semite, not because she was defending someone who said he's going DEFCON 3 against the Jews, not because she was defending someone who combined a swastika with a Magen David, not because she was defending someone who said he loves Hitler. Loves Hitler. Remember, Hitler murdered 10,000 Jews a day and gassed 1.5 million Jewish children. No, I came after her because she's Black. Talk about the most disgusting excuses for your vile behavior. Candace, this man is up in my living room every single day at the top of that list, Martin Luther King. That you would disgrace the African-American community by saying that being Black is an excuse to be an anti-Semite. Don't use your Blackness as an excuse to be an anti-Semite. The Black community is a righteous community. It is a just community. It's a community that we march.
So I just decided just to play a little bit of each one, because this spat with Candace Owens, do we think was a contributing factor to this departure? What do you say in the audience, in the chat? I'll throw your comments up. This is the question for the chat. Let's just start doing this. Question for the chat. Do you think Rabbi Smully himself, or at least the interaction, the going back and forth, contributed to the Daily Wire and Candace Owens finally saying, okay, this is it? Tell me what you think in the comments. I'll put them up as we listen to the second video from Rabbi Smully in this back and forth with Candace Owens.
Hi, everyone. I'm speaking to you from my home. When you walk into my living room, this is the first thing you see. Picture Martin Luther King and then Elie Wiesel, my 2 great social justice heroes. Elie Wiesel, of course, because the greatest witness to the Holocaust and genocide, and Martin Luther King, because he was the greatest American of the 20th century. He restored America to its founding principles that every human being is created in the image of God, and that all human beings are equal, and God loves them all equally. Muslims, Jews, atheists, agnostics, Buddhists, Hindus, Protestants, Muslims, Jews, conservatives, liberals. We in America have begun to hate each other, and people are fomenting hate. One of those people is Candace Owens, who's been on a rant in what can only be described as a complete nervous breakdown over the past 24 hours against me and my daughter, Rachel. She actually is a misogynist, Candace Owens, besides being an anti-Semite. I'll get to that in a moment. She calls my daughter a hag. She has to say that. She engages in the most disgusting ad hominem attacks. I had no issue with Candace Owens. I had met her once. My issue with Candace Owens began when Kanye West became America's foremost anti-Semite and said that he's going DEFCON 3 against the Jews and how much he loves Hitler. And the only person to defend him and say that it's okay for him to say this was Candace Owens. She was unrelenting. You're allowed to say that you love Hitler, and you can get away with it because Candace Owens will protect you. So we started calling her out on that, and then she just got worse and worse. Circumcision was an act of mutilation against babies. Then October 7th came, and of course she wouldn't even condemn the barbarity, the butchery, the gang rapes of Jewish women, the decapitations of Jewish babies. She said that she would have to think about it to see which side was right. Was it Hamas? Was it Israel? And then we knew this woman sees Jewish life as worthless. And of course we called her out on it, because never again means never again. You know what her defense is? Her defense is that because she's black, anyone who calls her out and calls out her anti-Semitism is a racist. Talk about engaging in the most disgusting identity politics. Now, the media is saying that I'm calling for the Daily Wire to fire her. I'm doing no such thing. Let me be clear. I don't control the Daily Wire. And I don't know what the legal ramifications are. What I'm saying is that Ben Shapiro, who wears a yarmulke and is a proud pro-Israel person, and the Daily Wire is supposed to be conservative, how does this all make sense? How do they have an anti-Semite on the air, someone who cannot even condemn Hamas? Some of the biggest Jew haters on earth, at least on October 7th, condemn Hamas, but not Candace Owens. If the Daily Wire is conservative, how do they have someone who's now defending her anti-Semitism by saying it's because since she has black skin, she's allowed to condemn Jews and you can't call her out on it because you're a racist? Isn't that identity politics? Isn't that the exact opposite of conservatism? So if she can't be fired, there's nothing to do with me, and I'm not calling for her to be fired. I'm saying, Ben Shapiro, why are you so silent? How have you been silent about all this?
And then he woke up today and said, I'm not going to be silent anymore. Rabbi Smelly. Rabbi Smelly. I'm going to go with that. Somebody said that in the comments, that the way I say it sounds like I'm saying Rabbi Smelly. Let's go with that. Rabbi Smelly is what we're going to call him. But I wanted to play the part where he talks about calling for her to be fired at the Daily Wire. Now, this video was made several weeks ago. So just let me give the date, March 9th. So that's 2 weeks ago that this video was made, March 9th. And 2 weeks later, a little bit less than 2 weeks later, she's fired. That's kind of how it went. And now, where is it? Sabby. Yeah, this is the one I wanted to go to. So let's listen to Sabby kind of break down the situation with Rabbi Smully and Candace.
She actually issued an apology to Muslims for the way that she may have treated them or they were treated by other Americans in this country after September 11.
And so first I want to say, just like to all Muslims growing up during my time in America, I am sorry on behalf of America for the way that you were treated. But
listen to what she says about Black people, though.
there's just this weird, almost a fairy tale like story of we were all kings and queens, and then the evil white man came and hunted onto Africa and took us in chains. And slavery, that's when slavery began. And it's so purposefully diluted, right?
If Candace Owens can call out and see the oppression of the Palestinian people, if she can make the apology to Muslim community for the way that she treated them in the past and the opinions that she had about them, why is it that she can't do that in reference to Black people?
Because Candace Owens is getting paid by the type of white audience that likes to hear Black people say white racist shit But when it comes out of black people's mouths, it makes them feel like, oh, I'm not racist. That's who Candace Owens has built her audience. It's no different than a Larry Elders in California. He's the same type of person who it's their whole or part of their identity is that I'm the black person that's telling black people that you have been irresponsible. It's you, not the white. She's that person. And Larry Elders plays that same role that Sabby points out here. So, all right. So thank you, Sabby. Now let's go to the next point here. I'm doing this from memory, typically, because I wasn't planning on coming on today, but I'm doing this from memory as far as the order. I'm trying to remember the order that I have. So let's this next one. This is Dave Chappelle, kind of talking about the same thing.
Candace Owens, that rotten bitch. She's the worst. I can't think of a worse way to make money. She's the most articulate idiot I've ever seen in my fucking life. She's so articulate. She can tell you how fucking stupid she is precisely. And she told George Floyd's rap record on the internet, oh, he was this, he did that, and he's a drug addict, and he's not a hero. And why does the black community make him a hero? Why do you choose him?
So I just wanted to play that briefly from Dave Chappelle as I kind of pivot to some of her. Let me say it this way. These are the reasons why I feel like now I'm going into the reasons why people like Candace Owens don't deserve any pity from us. If this was a firing, if this was a departure that was forced on her, you know, when they say you resign, but it was kind of a forced resignation. Like, I have no pity for that because of things like this. Now, the same people that got rid of her are in this room. You made the decision to team up with these clowns. You made that decision. They were clowns then. This one incident doesn't make them clowns. They've been clowns. So let's listen to Candace.
Hear from Speaker Pelosi herself, speaking in front of the Capitol at a Congressional Black Caucus presser. Thank you, George Floyd, for sacrificing your life for justice. Wow. Because of you and because of thousands, millions of people around the world who came out for justice, your name will always be synonymous for justice.
Oh, wow.
Lord.
It's like that's a religion.
Now, when we heard that, we had a visceral reaction too, but a different visceral reaction. They're reacting to what Nancy Pelosi is saying in a way that you're saying too much of a good thing about it. Our reaction was, how dare you use his name to fund the police? That was our reaction. So similar, but different at the same time. Let's see what Candace Owens says here.
That's a religious cult.
I was going to say that she then said, "Give us
This is literal.
Right.
Drug addict.
Yeah.
Okay, he was a drug addict. He abused women. He abused men. This is disgusting. That is. It actually grosses me out. Do we have no better examples to put forward in the Black community when you think of the word justice? You think of George Floyd. I mean, how far we have fallen since Martin Luther King.
This is unwatchable coonery. I found the video and I watched 10 seconds just to know that what it was about, and I couldn't watch the rest. This is top level coonery here. To pretend that George Floyd became a martyr based on his life history instead of how he was killed. Why is the critique even about George Floyd? He's the one who's dead. But as Sabby said in the video, this is her role here. Or that's the question. Why can't she have the same sympathy for Black people? Because that's her audience is white, and it's a particular white. It's the same white people that's in this room with her. She know where her bread is buttered. She know where she gets her checks. If she has to sell out a bunch of Negroes, she don't give a fuck.
It honestly makes me sick. It makes me sick. It's so upsetting to me as a Black person to see what is coming out as representative of the Black community, what we are told we should be holding up. Do you think those words would be written when Clarence Thomas dies? Do you think those words would be written when Thomas Sowell dies? Do you think those words would be written when Dr. Condoleezza Rice dies?
She said Clarence Thomas and Condoleezza Rice. You mean the Condoleezza Rice that's responsible for thousands of deaths? That Condoleezza Rice? You mean the Clarence Thomas who's as corrupt as there can be? Who is she talking to? Who in the Black community thinks either one of those people should be looked up to? But there's white people who say those are good Blacks. That's who she's speaking to. This is why this person deserves no pity or sympathy. She made a deal and came in and said, I will be okay to shuck and jive and say all this bullshit. But then when she doesn't want to go fall in line with their talking points, they fucking decapitate her figuratively. And we're supposed to be sympathetic to her? I think not. I got more. I don't even need to play all of that. Let's listen to another video of hers on the same topic, and she is pretty disgusting. So let's listen to her here.
Hello and welcome. And we can just get right into this because you know what we are going to cover today. We obviously have to cover the George Floyd trial conclusion, which is that Derek Chauvin is guilty on all counts. And I have to appreciate people that were trying to create a pressure campaign for me on Twitter saying, I wonder what Candace is going to say. Even Republicans agreed that this was the right call. I don't care who agrees that this was the right. I don't care if it's a Republican. I don't care if it's a Democrat. I don't care if it's a white person. I don't care if it's a Black person. I am not so much of an intellectual coward that because the mob decides something, because the lie about George Floyd and the way that he lived his life has become so big that we just have to now accept it as the truth. And believe me, this is a lie.
Now, you might be confused. Like, what is she This is her response to Derek Chauvin being found guilty. Why aren't you talking about the trial? You know, the actual subject matter? This is the lane that she occupies, like Larry Elder. It's not only they have harsh criticisms for Black people in the Black community, they go out of their way. They have to prove I hate Black people like you guys that are listening to me. It's like they literally pick topics on purpose to criticize Black people, Black community, Black thought. That's a lane. And she's gladly playing it because it's very lucrative. It's very lucrative to play to white fragility, especially people who are racist who want to play like they're not. So to hear a Black person say some of the same things that they believe, it washes away their racist sort of guilt. And then they go, here's $50, Candace. Nick says it all the time. If we were in this to be grifters, we would do what Candace Owens does because it's very lucrative for a Black person. Very lucrative to do what she does. Let's go to another video of Candace. So apparently she's up in arms that people want to say nice things about George Floyd after he's dead. You know how people do all the time? You know how they did that with Henry Kissinger? I wonder if she came out and was going ham like this on him at that time. And don't forget this one from her with Kanye West, White Lives Matter. But somebody in my comments talking about people change. Has she changed?
But why are we pretending that this criminal should be upheld as a citizen, as a martyr in Black America? A martyr for a fake narrative, by the way. Police brutality, racially motivated police brutality is a myth, okay?
Who is she talking to? Who would listen to those words and go, let me continue to listen? Let me retweet. Who? It's not just any white person. And what type of white person? Do you think she doesn't understand that people were memorializing George Floyd because he was killed and not because of what he did while he was living? Does she get that, or is she just pretending? You notice she doesn't talk about that part.
If you want to hang up posters of criminals on your wall and talk about them as your martyrs, do it. Do it. You can do it. Kobe Bryant was my idol. Okay, I'll keep a photo of Kobe Bryant. You can keep one of George Floyd and pretend.
Are you talking about the Kobe Bryant that was taken to court for sexual battery? Is that the one you're talking about, Candace? Is that who you're talking about, Candace? So she has Kobe Bryant, which, I mean, but more egregiously, she has Clarence Thomas and Condoleezza Rice.
And he was an upstanding human being that just once or twice put a gun across a pregnant woman's belly. Could you imagine that woman right now? That black woman, by the way, right? Watching everybody pretend this person was an upstanding human being who just at the age of 42 and 5 prison stints was going to get his life together. But why does
it bother you if that's the case? Why does that bother you that a person who, let's go by her, what she's saying, was a bad person and then he turned his life? Why does that bother you? Anyway, that was me reading a comment and making a decision not to cover that, not to put that comment up, because it would have just made this a lot longer. Now, here's one of the final videos we get to. This is her responding to her departing ways. She actually comes out with a video. So this is earlier today, she comes out with a response video. The reason why she's happy, because she knows she's on a new venture and about to get paid. And she's seeing all the people come to her defense, even after all her crazy shit. Like fucking clowns.
Hey guys, it's Candace. The rumors are true. I am free. Welcome to my locals page. So much to talk about. Obviously, I'm going to take a couple of weeks here just to rebuild and to refocus and to create something that is actually mine and something that can't be threatened or taken because it belongs to me. I can't tell you enough how much your support has meant to me over the years. We're just getting started. Join the locals page. Obviously, here you can support me and my work as an independent journalist, as an independent podcaster. We're still going to be doing 5 days a week. There'll be tons of announcements coming in the next couple of weeks.
Tell me, and this goes for, tell me, how are you an independent, and this goes for Breaking Points too, how are you an independent journalist when all your views, or 90% of your views, are establishment? You tell me how that's the case. Because this is the thing. This is the thing now. Oh, I'm independent. That means what I'm saying is unbothered by corruption. Is it? Is it, Candace? Breaking Points? It's the same thing as I don't take corporate PAC money. Then why, Squad? Why are you voting in line with people who took corporate PAC money then? Why is that the case? Oh, you're an independent? Then why 70% of the time you vote Republican? How are you an independent? This woman knows she's going to be fine. This woman knows she's about to start making some money hand over fist, and it's going directly to her without anybody else's hand in the pot. Here's a quote from Candace Owens, and it says, quote, "The greatest Holocaust that ever happened was against Christians and what the Bolsheviks did to us." Yeah, she's independent. This is what people are liking about her, I guess. Her really is not even advocacy. It's just not a Zionist crazy person. That's it. It's really not pro-Palestinian. But let's listen to this exchange on her show.
I believe that what happened on October 7th is a uniquely dark form of evil on a whole other level in every way, shape, or form of evil than anything that is happening in Gaza. Do you agree with my?
So the guy says what happened on October 7th, and let's just go with the high number they started with, 1,500, 1,400 people killed on October 7th. That's uniquely evil. And it puts you in a different category than what's happening in Gaza. So 50,000+ dead Palestinians is not a unique evil. It's not on the same level as October 7th. That's the framing he presents to her. And this is the reason they're saying we're going to take her off. This is her reply.
Thing that is happening in Gaza. Do you agree with my statement or disagree? I don't need explanations. Do you agree with me or disagree?
I have said to you 1,000 times, I feel like what you are asking me to do right now, I'm looking at the cost of life. This is how I analyze things.
You can't agree. You're not going to agree with me.
I am uncomfortable with the amount of innocent life that is lost right now in Gaza.
So you're not going to agree with me. Okay, Rick, let's move on.
So she's just uncomfortable with all these deaths. That's all. I'm uncomfortable. You know how when you're uncomfortable and you're in a long ride and you got to use the restroom? Like that. I'm uncomfortable. That literally amounts to what her advocacy has been, and people are praising her for this.
Let's move on, because there's other stuff. Because there's another piece in that
because
article.
Part of it feels like you want me to weigh, like, is Jewish innocent life?
No.
Like, this is like morons talking to morons about a serious issue, and they want people to take them serious. I can't take her seriously. So this will be one of the few times I cover Candace Owens. She's just not a serious person to me. She's not serious whatsoever. Like, she's like a Tulsi Gabbard, unserious to me. So it is what it is. Hit that like button. 400 people. I'm sorry, 800 is the target. Here is a super chat. Thank you, Warren West. Reply, Coonery, what's your take on Tyler Perry? Yeah, he's a top coon. Tyler Perry is projected and pushed up because he does super capitalism and has been successful at super capitalism, not having a great idea. And the reason I know this is because my brother is a comedy writer. He works for Chris Rock. And my brother wrote several episodes for a couple of Tyler Perry movies and told me, gave me the lowdown. But I already knew this. Tyler Perry has his operations in Atlanta to avoid union labor. Built his studio where he built it to avoid unions. Tyler Perry, like when a show records one episode, he's recording multiple episodes in the same time period that one, because he's trying to extract more value out of the same time, get more labor out of the time, but doesn't give the actors more money for that at all and underpays them. And he's built his empire on that. And white people love him because all they see is, wow, this black person has did real good at this super capitalism. And he did it all on the backs of black people, exploiting blacks. So yeah, Tyler Perry's terrible. Talk about JB Rent more important than this crap. We did shout out JB's a fundraiser. When did I do it? Yesterday they did it. I did it last time I streamed. So there you go. Thank you for the super chat. That was Corey Scott. This one, thank you for this super chat. Ed Royce, Candace Owens, redemption arc. Again, you can redeem yourself. Redeeming has nothing to do with whether or not she should be in front of a mic spewing ideas to have influence.